Assalamu alaikum and greetings of peace. Welcome everyone to the last and final, the third in our Reviving the Ramadan Spirit series. In our first episode, we had Brother Qasim Mazhar with HHRD, Helping Hands for Relief and Development, who spent many years with us here in Oklahoma. And we talked about the importance of using the time in Ramadan to engage with our heart and with our soul and connect with our spiritual nature. And in our second episode, we had the OG Brother Nihad Awad, the founder of CAIR from Washington, D.C., join us, and we talked about the state of civil rights and human rights, the importance of CAIR, and also the importance of utilizing this blessed time of Ramadan and reflecting on the reality that we have lost so many people in the last year and that we are truly blessed to be able to witness this month. And this episode it's probably going to be my favorite episode because we have some very special guests, our young professionals. We're going to bring them in right now. First and foremost, we have Dr. Rand Alzubi, dentist extraordinaire. Wa alaikum salam. We have Dr. Khalid Alzubi, also a dentist. Wa alaikum salam. And then we have Brother Muhammad, not Mo, even though he say Mo, Muhammad Okda from Tulsa. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam, guys.
Welcome, everyone, to the show. Great having you. Let's start with you, Rand, and let's go around. Please just give a quick introduction to yourself for the people who may not know you out there in social media world.
All right. Well, my name is Rand Alzubi. Like Adam said, I'm a dentist, along with my brother who's down there. I have three brothers. We grew up in Oklahoma, so lived here my whole memory. We moved here when I was a baby, and feel super connected to this community. And yeah, just excited to be here. Excited to join you guys.
MashaAllah, MashaAllah. And Dr. Khalid Alzubi.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Khalid. I'm a dentist also. I work at Dental Depot. I been living here since I was 3. I enjoy working with the community, and I enjoy talking to you all today. So,
MashaAllah, MashaAllah. Welcome, both of you. And then, of course, what would be a gathering of young professionals without the one young professional that goes to every single wedding in Oklahoma and surrounding states, Muhammad Okda. Introduce yourself for the people.
So I'll go in and start off by saying that I am not a doctor, so we'll just throw that out there right now. Yeah, my name is Muhammad Okda. I've been in Tulsa community now for since I was born. I've been involved with the masjid for many years, led many different Ramadan programs. Worked for Dell. I've been doing that for many years. Worked with CAIR for many years. Known the famous Adam right here. We've been working with him for the last 8 years. Very close to these two to my right, and inshallah, we're looking forward to having a productive talk.
Awesome, awesome, and the best wedding hype man ever. So if y'all want to get married, you contact me. All right, we'll negotiate a price and we'll get him out there. Okay.
I got
you. He does a good job.
He does a good job. So here's my first question. So I have a few questions for you, and I really am interested because I just want you to be honest from your perspective as a young professional. Oh, we got some comments here. Let's pull them up real quick. So Sister Deborah said, wow, my entire favorite crew. Thank you, Sister Deborah. You're our idol and you are our favorite because of your dedication to the community. And then, of course, our beloved Imam, professional, not young, but hey, you're as you feel. Yeah, as young as you feel. Imam, you want to be young, you can be young with us. So we love you, both of you. All right, so the question is, last Ramadan was a completely new experience. And we were basically restricted from going to the masjid, from having that community feel. Many of us couldn't even go around our families. I remember I didn't see my parents for a couple of months because we were just scared. We didn't know what was going on. This year, we're looking to a semi-normal Ramadan. But what benefits or what insights did you gain from this experience of having to shift from being around people to having to rely a lot on yourself and your connection with Allah to be able to maintain your Ramadan? Let's start with you, Okda, this time.
Okay. Well, that's a question a lot of us are feeling, I think, from last year to this year, especially with being able to participate at the measure this year. It's a gift that we took for granted. I think last year it was something that we weren't ready for, right? Having Ramadan, being able to rush to the masjid, to make wudu at the masjid, to see brothers we haven't seen in over a year. It was crazy to feel that again, and a lot of people were missing that connection with the masjid. And for me, Ramadan was a little bit more difficult because that's where I were find that spiritual connection. And for me, I had to kind of dig deep and be able to find through YouTube videos, so reading on my own, to having small little talks with my brother or other family members or just close friends, and kind of getting that Ramadan vibe, that feeling that we always look forward to recharge the battery, as they say. So I think this year around, we're very lucky to experience Ramadan in the masjid, if we're able to, safely. And so for me, that's the biggest transition, is just really not taking advantage like we usually do. We kind of miss a couple of tarawihs here and there. For me, I'm not missing any, because I missed it so much last year. This year, inshallah, I'll be praying them consistently throughout the whole Ramadan at the masjid, and really benefiting from what I missed last year, right? So inshallah, I'll kick it off to whoever next.
Okay. How about we kick it over to Rand? What are your thoughts?
So a lot of the same thing Okda said. I agree with all of that. I want to throw in, I guess, a positive that I felt last year, because we weren't seeing family as much. We really limited that time. I think it made, whereas when you do have all the family over, you're spending a lot of time getting food prepared, making sure there's different courses. And so since that was limited, I felt like I had a lot more time to focus on reading Quran. I felt like I read more Quran last year than I've read during any other Ramadan.
Wow.
Also, it happened to fall during the same time that actually COVID was at its highest. So even work was limited. We were only seeing emergency patients. So I wasn't even at work nearly as long. So I did spend a lot of that time reading Quran and focusing on like the spiritual connection, just because, I really had no excuses. I had no excuse of, I'm at work and I'm so exhausted after work, and and I have to now get dinner ready. That was a positive. But of course, like Okda said, definitely not going to Taraweeh, not seeing, there's Ramadan is a time where you would definitely see a lot more community members. And so definitely missed out on seeing a lot of people that I'm just at least used to seeing this time of year.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And Khalid, what about you? And I should say, Khalid, you're involved, and you have been involved with the Islamic Society. So you may touch on that a little bit as well, the struggles that the community went through in terms of trying to figure out what's the best way to continue serving the Muslim members of the masjid.
So, I agree with everything that they're saying. And the one thing I'd like to add, and maybe Muhammad would agree to this, is, we, during the Ramadan and the youth group, we're so busy trying to maintain that and stay on top of that, that when COVID hit, we really just got to really focus on, being a little bit more spiritual as far as reading Quran and focusing on that. But this year, we actually get to go to the masjid, we get to pray. But I don't know how Tulsa is, but at least in OKC, it doesn't seem like we're going to have any babysitting or youth group. So, the people that put in a lot of work to, make sure that the food was served for iftar, the people that cleaned up afterwards, the people that took care of the kids, and as far as the youth group, there's not much of that going on. So the people who did get involved in the community a lot during the month of Ramadan, I think get to have a little bit more time to actually pray Taraweeh and do what they wish they would have done, they could have done. But
Right.
Either way, there's blessings in both actions that we do. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
I do want to touch on that, Adam, if you don't mind.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think Khalid made a good point. For me and for Khalid, the last 6 years for myself, I never got to enjoy Ramadan in the sense of praying Taraweeh because we were always managing hundreds of kids. Your kids were my program, and last year we had over 250 kids in our Ramadan program. For me, last year was also very spiritual, and like Red mentioned earlier, I got closer to my deen because I got a chance to read the Quran and pray and like really get that spiritual feeling that I miss out. Other than the last 10 days where I really get to have time alone. This is a kind of a gift. And for Tulsa, we're actually having teen programs because the teens do suffer from not going to the masjid during Ramadan. It's something that's very crucial for their youth days to be close to the masjid, to build that connection, because for them, that's the closest they get is during Ramadan. And we want to make sure they have that, but in a very safe environment due to, COVID and so forth. So I just want to touch base on that as well.
Wonderful. And, one thing you all said that I really felt is, one, we had no excuse last year, right? There was no excuse like, I'm busy with work, I got to go serve the iftar at the masjid, I have to help with the youth program. No, if we didn't read the Quran, if we didn't spend extra time in prayers, that was on us. And additionally, if say, okay, I can't go to the masjid, so I'm not getting that spiritual upliftment. Well, all the imams, not just our imam, Sheikh Omar Suleiman, Imam Sohaib Webb, you name it. They were on Facebook, on YouTube. So what excuse did we have? So I think that we can take that and go into this Ramadan and say, okay, if we can go to the masjid, if we're vaccinated, if we feel comfortable, that's an option. Otherwise, the virtual stuff is still there. And people are going to continue doing that. So let's take this Ramadan and let's use that theme of no excuses, right? Let's not leave an excuse to do the best we can. Apparently, we have somebody who's a fan of Mo Okda. So, Mo, you got some fans out there watching the show tonight.
Alhamdulillah.
I do want to give a shout out to Imam Ahmad for taking COVID by the horns and consistently engaging with the community and consistently putting out lectures and talks and classes and staying engaged with the community. Alhamdulillah.
MashaAllah. Man, you put a picture in my head like David versus Goliath. Like Imam is like getting ready to wrestle the COVID.
Oh, he didn't give any excuses. He's still gonna engage and
man. Alhamdulillah. We are blessed. Honestly, I say this as somebody who has traveled the world and the country, and we're blessed to have Imam and Chasi here in the community, and we are. All of us are products of his leadership. So we really appreciate him, and we pray that Allah bless him and reward him for all of his work. So another question is, again, keep in mind, we're speaking to people our age. I'm not really a young professional. I'm getting into the old professional category, but y'all are still young. So what would you say? People your age, there's a lot of distractions out there, and you're wanting to focus. Come Monday night, sunset, Maghrib time, it's Ramadan. What advice do you give to other young professionals of things we can do realistically during this blessed month to take full advantage? And Rand, why don't we go ahead and start with you?
Okay. So my advice to somebody would be to, consistency is like more important than doing something like huge and massive, like maybe being like reading a whole juzah of Quran a day. Maybe that's not doable for everybody. Or maybe, like listening, spending hours listening to lectures and stuff feels like overwhelming. So I think finding something simple, but powerful, I think would be good. For example, maybe reading one page of Quran a day and then also reading the meaning and actually trying to understand that one page every day. Like I feel like, over the time, and who knows, maybe that's something that you would pick up to continue doing after Ramadan, or tons of podcasts out there that are like 15 minutes long So they're not very long, but they have a lot of like, they can be like really productive podcasts and stuff. So I would say doing something that you know that you can continue doing would be my advice.
If you want a great podcast, Soul Food FM.
Yep.
Amazing.
That one.
Soul Food FM.
That was the one.
Amazing.
15 minutes.
Start from 2017 and work your way up. And each podcast like 15 minutes long, so it's not like something that's takes a big chunk out of your day, but each one is very, very practical advice.
Yeah.
But what I'd like to say is, especially to the young ones, a lot of the people from the older people in the community kind of know this, but the young people, when we think of Ramadan, and me and Okda were talking about this earlier, when we think about Ramadan, we think of fasting. Fasting is something that's part of Ramadan, yes, but the real true meaning of Ramadan is to be connected to the Quran. That's the whole point of it. Even when there was a Ramadan and we weren't prescribed to fast, it was a month that, the Muslims at the time would connect to the Quran even more. So let's not forget the soul and the soul aspect and the true aspect of what Ramadan's about, which is to feed your soul with the soul food that Allah sent down from heaven. Because we starve our souls for so many months of the year. Let's feed it. Let's look at that time to feed that with the Quran. And a practical thing I would say is, I say this every year. I probably said it last year, but like Surah Al-Mulk is something that's very beneficial. It's 30 ayahs. Memorize one ayah a day. You got a whole surah memorized by the end of the month. Or memorize a dua that you haven't learned before, that you can make dua every single day that will benefit you, in your salah or something. Something that's, I don't expect people to change their life completely, but just come out better, even if it's by one dua or one verse or one something. Just get a little bit better,
To touch off what Rand and Khalid said, and they both made amazing points. A lot of people look forward to this year who are not, quote unquote religious, right? I always give this advice: set yourself small goals. Whether it be just if you don't pray throughout the whole year, pray once a day if you can, right? Plant a seed. Don't push yourself because it's Ramadan, I gotta do this, I gotta do that. There's a misconception where we feel like we have to just overachieve in Ramadan. And Ramadan is being the best version of yourself during that month as a Muslim, but don't extend yourself, right? I tell people to, if you haven't prayed, start praying, right? Whether it be 1 or 2 or 3, however many you feel comfortable, because that builds the building blocks. For me, my goals were to, for example, pick a prophet every year, and I learned about that prophet and everything about him, from the ins and outs. So, and then I would pick 2 Sahaba, and I would learn about the Sahaba from the beginning to the end, right? And to me, that was me building my connection and really understanding my deen. And a lot of us, we struggle with keeping that momentum after Ramadan. So that's why I always emphasize, build small little goals. Like Red mentioned earlier, and Khalid emphasized on, build little goals, whether it be reading an ayah or memorizing a surah, whatever the case may be, and continue that, right? Because when you just too fast, you're gonna fall back down just as fast. So this Ramadan, set yourself some goals, and also remind yourself, give. It's a month of giving. CAIR, we take donations, right? The measure, they take donations, right? We're all taking donations, right? Make sure you do as much giving as you can. Recite Quran as much as you can. Refrain from things that may lead your mind to something else. Make sure that you connect as much as you can to the best of your ability, inshallah, this Ramadan.
Beautiful. Wow, that was beautiful and practical and inspirational. And I want to share 2 things with the viewers tonight. So one, I think a common theme is that the month of Ramadan, regardless of what you do or how you approach it, the ultimate goal is to come out a better person. I remember years ago, I was listening to you know, we used to have the lectures on CD. Now you got them on podcast and on your phone, right? But I was listening to a CD of a lecture. I don't remember who it was, probably like Sheikh Hamza Yusuf or something like that. And he posed the question, what is the goal of Islam, right? And it was in a class setting. So you could hear everyone in the background answering, oh, to do this, to do that, to get to Jannah, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, you're all wrong. And I'm like, oh my God, what's the answer then? He's like, to make you good people, right? I'm like, I reflected on that, and I share this with my students, right? The goal of Islam as a religion is to make us into the best that we can. Allah said in the Quran that he created us in the best of forms. And how is it that as Muslims we can become better than the angels? If we choose, this is what Islam teaches us, if we choose to submit to Allah, we have become better than angels, because angels do not have that choice. But we do. That's the difference between human beings and angels in Islam. And I want to share with you one other tidbit of information. I teach Introduction of World Religions at OSU. And so I get really nerdy about religions. And I was teaching my students today about Jainism. I'm sure y'all haven't heard about Jainism. No. I'll teach you another day, okay? But Jainism focuses on the concept of giving up the world entirely. And that's how you achieve salvation. And fasting and refraining from eating food is a big part of their religion, but they take it to the extreme. So I was talking to my students about this, and it made me realize that Ramadan and the idea of giving up things like food and drink and you know, leaving, for example, stop listening to so much music or watching movies and playing PlayStation or whatever you do in your spare time, and focusing yourself more on that spiritual development, it brings a sense of balance to us as Muslims.
I agree.
And it just hit me today. You know, I mean, we know that, right? It's like a spiritual boot camp, but I was like, it made me realize that in America, in the West, so to say, right, we live so deeply entrenched in materialism, and we're so connected to everything around us, right? TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, all this stuff. Wi-Fi went out at my house and my kids went nuts. They're like, Daddy, we can't play Fortnite, right? I'm like, y'all can live, go outside, look at the birds or something. But that's the way we are. And then Ramadan comes in and says, hey, slow down, slow down. That's not your purpose, right? Bring a sense of balance to your life. And remember that the purpose is beneath our skin, beneath this flesh and bones. And it's that nafs, that soul that lives for eternity, and that will one day stand before Allah and answer for all that we've done. So I have one last question, and Okda, I'll let you take it first. All three of you, I've known you for many years now. I've watched you grow up and become, you know, contributing members of the community, and you have managed to hold on through your faith, through going to school, college, and now, you know, having successful careers. So what is a piece of advice, Okda, we'll start with you, that you would give to other young people going through the struggle? How can you maintain your faith in America as a young Muslim?
All right, I'll go first. Will the doctors go after this? No, all jokes aside, I mean, it's a very good question, right? And we have a lot of youth who are struggling in our communities, trying to find a balance between being a Muslim American, and finding where they fit in, and knowing what they want to do, you know. And I've talked to a lot of, as I get older, subhanAllah, I've learned it's not an easy answer, right? Because everyone's journey is different. The advice I would give is, you know, speak to your elders. Speak to your elders, you know, learn from them, learn from what they get, the advice they give you, right? Or if you have mentors or just people who've, you know, experienced a lot of different things, and ask them questions. That's something I did when I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do in life, right? And take advice from them. The second thing I would recommend is, you know, focus on what makes you happy, in a sense, right? And I'm not saying that, well, you know, just drop out of school and, you know, become a rapper. No, what I'm saying is you want to do something that actually makes you happy long term. Don't be in a situation where you went 4 or 6 years and then you're done with school and then you're like, wow, I hate this, right? You want to do something that benefits you, because you only have one life, right? And balance that, you know, that career with your deen. Now, what do I mean by that? You have to recognize that you're a Muslim first. You're not a professor first. You're not a businessman first. You're not a doctor first. You're a Muslim first. So you have to really make sure you understand that your deen comes first, with whatever profession that you choose. If it goes against your values, you got to remind yourself that hey, does this benefit me in the akhirah or in the dunya? Right? That's a lot of things that people kind of falter on because they see how much money you can make on the other side. So for me, I wanted to refrain from anything that was haram, that would benefit me as far as wealth wise. I stayed away from it. And subhanallah, I promise you, this is something from my brother who taught me this, Khalid, that when you refrain from earning money in the wrong way, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will put it 10 times fold in another way. So when you're going into a profession, refrain from things that are forbidden, whatever the case may be. As a young Muslim, especially in America, let people know you're Muslim. I kind of went by Mo for the longest time, but when I was working in in corporate America, people would know, hey, that's Muhammad. And I would pray at my office. I would pray anywhere, if it was during lunch or if it was during a conference or whatever the case is. I never hid that from anybody. I wanted them to know I was a Muslim, and they loved it. And mind you, people love asking questions. Don't make it weird for them when you're working, in a corporate world or whatever field that you choose, but let them know you're a Muslim. And we actually hosted Ramadan conferences with Khalid's wife at Dell and with another buddy of mine. Yes, and we did it with over 100 people who worked at Dell, and they were just mind blown about Ramadan.
Beautiful.
It was amazing.
Beautiful.
And so that taught me the confidence, like I shouldn't be scared that I'm Muslim. If anything, they want to learn more about me, right, and where I come from. So that's something I do want to emphasize, not to continue talking too much, but recognize that you are a Muslim, that you do want to choose a career that makes you happy, but also benefits you in the akhirah, not just the dunya, and really make dua that Allah guides you in the best way possible.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Appreciate that. And I've long been an advocate for making Muslim cool, right? Like you got to have a sense of swag about yourself. And
Muslim Don.
Right. I mean, look, I'm with you, Okda, man. I mean, that's the way I've lived my life. For the last, I was not my entire life. I went through the struggles too. But once I got over that challenge and I realized this is what I need to do, I was like, you know what? People got to know who I am, and I'm going to make it swaggy. I'm going to make it cool. I don't care what you think about it, right? If everybody, and here's my mentality. It may sound weird, but a friend of mine told me this years ago and always stuck with me. In America, of all places, right, you have the freedom to do whatever you want. And a lot of times people do things that are technically speaking considered haram or sinful in public, right? Getting intoxicated, doing drugs, smoking, whatever the case may be. And they're proud of that. But we're shy to do things that Allah loves in public. Man, we got to think about that. So Khalid, what you got, man? What's some advice for the young folks out there?
You stole the words right out of my mouth, really.
That's a cheap answer, man.
Here's what I'm going to say, though. The first thing I was going to say was, if you're proud of who you are, nobody can tear you down. If you're proud of being a criminal, everybody can say anything they want, and you'll still be proud of it, and you won't care. But imagine proud being a Muslim. If you're proud being a Muslim, people can talk, but you don't care because deep down inside you're Muslim. The second thing I would say to balance out, religion in this life is, really, really, really pay attention to who you surround yourself with. Because when I was younger, everybody who was religious in my eyes was kind of a dweeb, a nerd. And then I met a couple of guys randomly that were so cool to me, but at the same time, they held on to their deen. So it made me realize, you can still be cool. You can still be respected. You can still hold on to your deen. And this is when I was like really young, but as you get older, you all know this. But it's really important to just really surround yourself with who you're with, because if you're not putting the right people around you, you're never gonna see the right way, And some people are like, man, I already have these group of friends around me. And I'm not the type to just drop people and forget about them. What I'm saying is, if you really are sincere in wanting to change your ways, you should be the influence to them. They shouldn't be influencing you.
Wow.
You know what I mean? So I'm not saying drop your friends, your homie that you've been friends with for 5 years. But no, at this point, it's I'm influencing them. I'll take what's good from this friend of mine and I'll leave what is bad. And you know, sometimes you have to go a couple of months without, you know, being, you know, just kind of isolating yourself to be what you need to be. And Allah will send the right people towards your way if you're truly sincere.
Yeah. Beautiful, beautiful. Tell me who your friends are and I tell you who you are. There's a beautiful quote.
That's right.
Love it, love it. And last but not least, Rand, I want you to give us something. But first, I think you have a fan here too. That was a fan of one of your previous answers. I don't know if you know this person, but there you go.
Twice.
So what is your advice, especially Rand, you know, as a young woman, speak also to the sisters out there. What is some advice you might give another sister who's struggling to hold on to her faith in these times?
Yeah. So, I mean, whenever you first asked that question, like I was thinking and I was like, wow, what a loaded question. And like, that's the $1 million question, right? As we're kind of getting into the age where like, we're going to start, you know, thinking about having children of our own and stuff. Like, one of the biggest things I worry about is that, like, how do we make our kids like love Islam, and how do we keep them loving Islam? And I feel like it was a little bit easier during our time, like for our parents, than it is now. Like, I mean, you know, the stories that I'm hearing and stuff now were things that like were unheard of during our time. Like they're a lot less common. So for me, when I thought about myself, I'm like, okay, so what has helped me? And of course, what Khalid said, like, really came true. Is I felt like my friends growing up have always been Muslim. Like, not that you can't have non-Muslim friends. And I had non-Muslim friends and stuff at school, but my closest friends, the people that I have, like, my friends who I'm still friends with from since I was like in middle school, since I was in elementary school, are all Muslim. So I think that always having Muslim friends and people who had like the same mentality and the same upbringing that I had always made me feel like my life was normal, whether it was normal or not. And like, as an American, it was always normal with the people that I was around. So I never felt like my struggles were any, you know, different than those around me. So I think that was one thing that really helped me. I would say also, like, advice to parents is to just like, sometimes I think we worry about our children going astray and we try so hard to keep them and we get like more and more strict, but we want our kids to grow up loving Islam. I think that one thing that I have always felt like the Christian community did really well is they always like talked about like Jesus's love and the love of God. Whereas sometimes I feel like we talk about things like, no, you can't do that. That's haram. No, like you don't want to, you don't want to, go to Jahannam or something. And I feel like we should start raising our kids with loving Islam more than fearing Allah, like to start with.
Well said.
So, I mean, I feel like that's really important. And then if somebody is just struggling with it internally, I feel like research Islam. You may be hearing things from friends or seeing things from your parents or seeing community members.
Or watching YouTube.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just saying like researching Islam and knowing what Islam actually says, because Muslims are not perfect, but Islam is. So chances are if you do your own research, you may realize that it's not the way this one person has portrayed it to be. And I mean, I think that'll help you hold on to your faith. And then as a female, I guess, specifically, I mean, I would say really the main thing, I guess, women specifically struggle with that men don't really have to struggle with is wearing hijab. And I think that, like Khalid said, if you're proud of something that you do or something that you are, then that makes it like, then you can't kind of be torn down. And so I think it's just important to wear hijab whenever you're ready and it's something that you feel, because if you're starting it just because of anything else, then you are going to be, you are going to be torn down. And I think that first of all, like falling in love and loving hijab before like committing to it or what, whatever. I mean, I feel like we have a lot of the same struggles, except for when I said that, you know, not everybody always knew he was Muslim. I never had that. Everybody always thought I was Muslim, regardless of what I said or what I did or what I had. I was always obvious that I was Muslim.
Right.
So,
you know, it's a question I ask myself every time I'm struggling with something.
What's that?
It's, is this action that I want to do or I don't want to do more important to me or more of a priority to me than Allah's pleasure with me? You know what I'm saying? Like I ask myself all the time that. And that's like something that really helps me make the right decision in a lot of ways. Am I going to do this just because I want to, and that's more of a priority to me than Allah being pleased with me, and vice versa, you know what I mean? Or am I not going to do this for my own pleasure because blah, 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 you know?
Right. But it is a struggle. And I think Rand said it very well. You know, it's a struggle. And I will say, as a Muslim man, utmost respect to our Muslim sisters out there and to everybody going through the struggle, because, you know, it's not easy. I mean, it's not easy. There's a lot of issues that we as Muslims face. Number one, we're a minority. Number two, there is, unfortunately, some kind of hatred still existing, Islamophobia targeting Muslims in America. And then just the struggle to hold on to faith in a secular country, if you will, is not easy. But I think the advice each and every one of you gave is excellent advice. And I think I would only add to that to say that if you're out there and you're going through the struggle, whether it be, you know, with this upcoming month of Ramadan or any time throughout the year, you're not alone. And each and every one of us, and I know these three very well, so I know it's true to them, we're here for you. So reach out and let us be your support system, because we have to support one another. And we are a community, whether it be, you know, here in Oklahoma or anywhere around the state or country, we got your back. So thank you all. Thank you, Rand, Khalid, and Muhammad, for joining me tonight. We're out of time, but I wish each and every one of you a blessed month of Ramadan. And to our viewers, thank you for joining us. I hope you have a blessed month of Ramadan, that Allah accept our fast, our prayers, and that Allah provide you with the sense of comfort that we're all seeking during this blessed month, inshallah. Have a wonderful evening and Ramadan Mubarak. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. Thank you all. Jazakallah khairan.